folks. It's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the Miles Chocolate Variety Hour.
Woo woo!
Today is Friday the 23rd.
Yeah,
it's
the 23rd.
I try to keep. I probably shouldn't say what date because we never know when we're gonna get these fuckers up. So I don't want people to know, like, how long we slacked. It was around the 23rd. We'll say we're not sure.
Hey, we're allowed to be slackers, man. Fuck off.
Fuck it. It's a short month, so we can be short in the brain. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. So we were trying to decide what we were going to talk about yesterday, and we came up with something. Well, Miles did a poll on Twitter, and what were the options on that poll?
I'm trying to find it right now. I think it was like aliens, the new Wild West, West Virginia, and then prisons.
And we got 50%. 50%. I think 50% for prisons and 50% for aliens.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we got. Let's see, how many votes did we actually? You would think it would actually tell me if I could find it, but today is Follow Friday on Twitter, so I have 9,000 notifications.
Hashtag FF, motherfuckers.
So we actually, currently at 9 votes with 25 minutes left, a whopping 9 votes. So thank you, the 9 voters.
Boy. Thank you. We appreciate it.
We have aliens at 56%, West Virginia at 11%, the New Wild West at 11%, and prisons at 22%. So I think they want us to talk more about aliens.
I see that it has shifted since we last spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're going to talk about alien prisons in the Wild West.
I mean, why not?
West Virginia aliens from the Wild West that are in prison.
It's the aliens in West Virginia that's causing the teachers to revolt against their schools so they can get equal pay.
Yeah, that's
Wait, now that doesn't make sense.
I've really been surprised by the conversation this week concerning guns and shootings. Hertz, I just read they unpartnered with the NRA. There's been several companies that are kind of like, we're done fucking with you guys. I don't know if you saw on the news today, but there were several Ohio schools that were shut down because there was credible threats today. I didn't catch it on the news a whole lot while I was at work, but I heard it. Whitmer, I'm not sure. Somewhere really close to Toledo, I'm thinking. They had a active shooter threat or something.
They had an active shooter threat about an hour north of us. Locally, a small town called Corey Rawson. Well, it's not a town, by the way, people. Even though Ben Roethlisberger tried to make it a town, it's not a real town. It's two separate towns that combined into a small high school. And there was a kid who was threatening to commit suicide while he was at school. So there was that situation.
Oh, that's right. He was in the bathroom, and they talked him down, didn't they? But they found more ammo and guns that he had, or bombs or grenades, perhaps. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, it's. I really didn't dive too into it. There's just well, actually, hold on. The Ohio student, he actually did shoot himself in the bathroom on Tuesday, and that was from Jackson Memorial Middle School. He was 13 years old. Yep, he was 13 years old. 13. Wow. And he took a gun to school and with a .22 caliber gun, and he shot himself in the bathroom at school and killed and died. And killed and died. I mean, that was bad wording, but
I hear what you're saying. There have been several 11 to 13-year-olds that I've seen here in Ohio. Over in Oak Harbor, there was a young boy that took his own life. And then there was one in Genoa, which isn't too far from Oak Harbor. And they were both real young. I never heard of kids committing suicide when they were 11 or 12 or 13, but I found it really depressing and sad. So I don't want to start up a podcast like that, but I thought it seems as though the conversation about gun control is starting to shift in America finally. I really like that people are talking about arming teachers.
Oh, God.
And then that report came out about that deputy that waited outside of the school. He didn't go in. And he was a trained professional, and he waited outside of the school. The shooting that just happened in Florida, he would go in. And for 4.5, upwards of 4 minutes, the shooting took place for 6 minutes. For 4.5 minutes, he stood outside of the same corner of the building that this kid was shooting all those kids down there, and didn't go in and confront the shooter.
No, he sure didn't. But you want to know who did? It was a 16-year-old boy who kept the door shut. He was a part of the ROTC program, and he unfortunately died. But that kid died a hero. But he sat in front of the door as it was being shot at to help save the other students in his classroom. So
sad. See, I worked all day, everybody, and there's the news goes all day long, and I only catch little bits and pieces, and I didn't really get to catch up. So it's always good because Miles is like, oh, here's the end of it. Like I'll hear it as it's like breaking news, and then somebody will change it to the fucking game show network. And then I'm watching Hollywood Squares from 1984. I didn't want to watch that. It's fine. So, anyway, back to alien prisons. I know that we have them here on Earth. That's why we don't get to meet any, and we never see them because they've been imprisoning them. That's probably who's really making license plates.
Yeah, it's definitely not the prisoners. It's the alien prisons that are making.
There's like alien gangs too.
Yes, there is. There is. I hear there's movies about them as well, and one of the funnier. There's a lot of funny podcasts out there, but there is, I think, alien gangs, and I think there's movies that are out there about alien gangs, and I think that they definitely would. I mean, that's kind of what the isn't that what the new Netflix special with Will Smith? What's that called? Bright.
I haven't seen anything about that.
I watched, I want to say like an hour-ish. I watched the whole thing, but I kind of like walked away and came back to it. It wasn't that, it was good, but it wasn't like sit on the edge of your couch and you can't close your eyes, It was kind of one of those ones where like, but it was good. But it's the same thing, these aliens are in, there's this huge war, this other alien's like a cop now, and there's this whole thing, but there's like these gangs, and I'm like, okay, so alien gangs are a thing. If they're like us, they gotta, who's got the right blood or whatever.
Biker gang?
They kind of look like it. They took, I think, pretty much every stereotype, and they put it on, I don't even remember the name of the aliens. It begins with a C, and, but they looked and they acted like every other stereotypical gang member ever,
That's hilarious. I love it. I wonder if there's like green. Every time I think of an alien, I always think of Kip from Futurama. That's my ideal alien now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh.
See,
yes, Captain.
I think that.
Inform the men. I made it with a woman. Inform the men. Oh man, I love Futurama. I could quote that all day.
Oh my god. So Kip is definitely your ideal alien. he's a sludge ball that doesn't want to do much, and their mating's pretty simple, it seems like. However, I like is it Morgo, the newscaster?
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
Or no, what is it? He's always like something. I believe his name is Morgo the Destroyer. I'm not real sure on his first name, but he always televises with the little white lady, like ha 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 ha. That's
death
so
to all
funny.
humans, and then she's like ha 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 ha. That's so funny.
Yeah,
it fucking cracks me up.
I like the aliens that the ones that are married, and the one time that he came to eat Leela, I think it was.
Yeah.
Gorilla out. So
yeah, because he and they still like didn't that all? No, that was because she was eating their babies.
That's right. Yes, they found them, and they were like delicious. What do they call them? I don't remember now.
Oh my god, I want to I watch Futurama all the time, but I'm not one of those. And I'm just not one of those really good people who remembers every single. I can remember every single detail if I just watch an episode. But if you want me to go back, I'm like, I can tell you this episode word for word. But if you want me to know the little tidbits, like all the names, it's not gonna happen. Like, if I'm like, hey, do you know like the gross, like, slutty, like, prostitute? Everybody knows I'm talking about the old hag with her tits all the way down to her fucking, like, chest who's got the...
With Bender, remember when he did matchmaking? And she was like, did you just match people up at the bus stop? Because the bus driver got up and he was too good for Leela. He's like, I'm leaving. And she's like, that's all I remember. She said, she's like, are you going to 4th and Wood or something like that? Like, that's my ride. I gotta go.
By the way, we were close. His name is Morbo.
Morbo the Destroyer. I love Futurama. I just do. I like The Simpsons too, but Futurama is my jam.
The Simpsons have died off, though.
Yeah, I watch it here and there, but and it's still good for a laugh. But I think that they'll probably do 25 years, and I think that's gonna come to the end soon, just because the voice actors are getting older and whatever else.
They have to let it go. Like, I love The Simpsons as much as anybody else, but it's just it's not that it's lost its flair or that it's lost its. But it has. We're those who love The Simpsons. We're all getting older.
Right.
And we're still as nerdy. We still love cartoons. I mean, I'm still watching Archer and Rick and Morty and all the rest of them that are out there, regular show, all that stuff. I love it. But, you know, I think that the comedy of it has lost its value. You know, in the same way that South Park was... Remember how South Park used to be so edgy, and now it's, to me, now, I'm sorry, y'all can burn me at the stake, but I never thought that South Park was that great, but I appreciated for what it was, that edgy, right, as far as you can go, but then it just got fucking ridiculous. Like, then it was like they were trying so, like, too hard. Too hard.
I've enjoyed last season, and I haven't watched South Park since the first couple seasons, and then I kind of never watched it, but randomly. But the last 2 seasons have been okay. They make some very pointed commentary anymore that, in a jokey way, but it kind of highlights. It talks about current events and just the ridiculousness of it, and that's kind of what I like about it. Like, it's gotten more serious. You can tell that. Was it Trey and Matt, I believe, are the creators of that one.
Yep.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I think. They've matured. I think they're our age, if I'm correct. But a lot of, back in the day, it used to be just stupid, gross humor, as offensive as it could be. But now they deal with a lot of political issues, just like Law and Order ripped from the headlines. Last season they did something where Mr. Garrison, they turned him into Trump. And that shit was hilarious.
That had to be really good.
It really was. You might actually enjoy watching South Park. Because I did the same thing where I just didn't watch it for years. And then the last 2... I just happened to catch an episode from last season. And I ended up watching the whole season. I was like, this isn't so bad. I haven't gone backwards, But
yeah.
They've matured. And I think you might actually like a random episode if you ever...
Well, see, I always like the random episodes. I couldn't stand the whole poop thing they had going on. It's not that I don't find, poops and... Yeah, it's not that I don't find it funny, but, I have... My twisted sense of humor is more, I think, maybe demonic than it is, I don't have poop humor, the way that some people do. I don't know why, I'm
trying to think of... It reminds me of another cartoon that does that, but I can't quite... If it's not Family Guy. I don't remember. But anyways, South Park has matured a lot in the last 2, maybe even more than that. But I watched it during the election. That was the first time that they actually tried to do a storyline. The whole season led off of the last episode, and it was a whole story of trying to stop Trump. And it was really just... It was funny, and they said they wouldn't do that again, and it went back to random episodes this season, but they're still very good. They make a point, and it's kind of like,
I agree.
I can't think of what show or cartoon it reminds me of. now. It'll come to me later, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's so many
Anyways.
good cartoons that are out there. F is for Family is my other one that's one of my favorites that have kind of come up. It really does, I like, if you haven't watched F is for Family, I think that it's a very funny, ridiculous cartoon, angry fucking father, the stay-at-home mom in that time where, it's like the 80s, and she's trying to, get out of she doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mom selling Tupperware, and the dad's home from Vietnam. So no, it's like late 70s, early 80s. And he's got like this crazy fucking cokehead neighbor, and he's got these fucked up kids, and it's a great little funny, ridiculous, kind of thing.
I have seen that. I have not watched it though, but it's listed on my list.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff, and that's what I think I kind of like about nowadays, where I feel like it's so hard to kind of get into TV shows the way that we once did. I don't think a lot of them have. To me, I don't know. I'm not a big reality show person.
Me, I hate reality TV.
I can't look. I really like
I would
Law
watch a
and
reality
Order.
show about alien prisons, though.
Yeah. I would too. I would definitely watch that.
Like, oh my god,
Did you
from
see
planet Corfark.
Well, see, and that's just it. Like, I like Law and Order, but I don't like the SVU, the Criminal Intent, and 9,000 spin-offs it has.
I know, I can't keep up with them.
I can't either. But reality show wise, I like watching Live PD, the first 48. Those are I like cops. Not that I like cops, but I like watching the cop reality shows because
the first 48, that's pretty good.
Dude, it's so fucking good.
They always do like 2 cases at a time, so they bounce back and forth. Like, meanwhile, back in Houston. Yeah.
Well, exactly, and not only that, but I think that people like myself who really do find those kind of cases intriguing. I find them very interesting. But I like the fact that I have an actual perception of how cops do their work, about what it takes to kind of find the people, who had committed, the crimes. And I think that that's what I like about it, is that they have plenty of episodes where it never goes solved. And you can see why, and it's kind of, and again, I'm not here to defend cops. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest fan of them. But I think that it also allows you to kind of see, of course, in their own edited version. I get it, people. But it allows you to see what they have to go through, what it would have taken, or what it takes to be a homicide cop, what it takes to be in New Orleans in a certain neighborhood. What are they really facing? How are they adjusting themselves? And then to the crime scenes as well. And it's super interesting how that all works out. And that's why I like Live PD. Sometimes it's boring as fuck, and sometimes it's super interesting.
Right. I really like Procedure, too. Like, it makes my boyfriend nervous that I love Forensic Files. And, and he's like, oh, God, Mom, what are you doing? I'm getting some coffee here, everybody, just so you know. Bloop, 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 bloop. Good. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get it. Oh, here we go. Now I'm proper MC Variety Hour in it.
Yeah.
Got my coffee and my cigarette. I'm sorry. Where was I?
You were talking about Forensic Files and how your man is scared of it.
Nervous, and I'm like, no, I. He's like, what do you like about that show? And I can never quite pinpoint it. What it is I like about it. It's not the crime itself. I think I've always been fascinated by human behavior. Like, why do people do what they do? But I also, on the other side, I love how they tie, because Forensic Files always, or shows like that, they always highlight really interesting cases. Like, one murder was tied to matching the fabrics from the van that this guy had kidnapped this girl in, and she had just the tiniest little bit of carpet fiber on her, and they were able to trace it back to the van that this guy had owned. You know what I mean? Like, just weird little tiny things, and I think that's what I like about it, is the procedural part of it, but also every murder is different, and they don't do a lot of like jilted lovers, like obvious cases. Sometimes they do, but because it's always the husband or the boyfriend.
Almost always, yeah.
Like 90%, you're like, oh. I watched one where like the boyfriend had been there and then he left because he was like, nope. And then there was one where the guy had like, he went up, knocked on the door, and she wasn't there, and he went back to his car, down to his car, smoked, and when he came back, the door was open, and the cops didn't believe him. I mean, who would? They're like, oh, okay, you were gone for 10 minutes, somebody murdered her. and then you just came and stumbled upon it. And he was like, no, that's what happened, really, you know? Luckily, he wasn't black, so...
Because God forbid that you're fucking black in this country anymore.
You know, that reminds me, we haven't done our shout-outs yet. I don't know, I guess we can make people wait until the end like we did last time. Ha ha ha. But that, I just got turned on to a new podcast called Polity. Politea. I think I sent it to you, and it's
yeah.
They're only a few, like, I think they're like 15 episodes in or so, but they're new. 2 women. I don't know how old they are. I've only listened to about 5 episodes so far. I really like their podcast. It's a casual conversation. It reminds me a lot of ourselves, but they're like way cooler. You know, they're way smoother the way they talk about it. But that's just me being like, they're so cool. I want to be just like them.
I want to just hang out with them and have a big conversation. No, I actually gave them I was able to listen to one of their episodes. It was awesome. I gave them one of our Friday follows. There was a handful of really great podcasts this week, so that was definitely one of them I was excited to come across and to listen to for the first time.
I like it.
This week.
They're like us. They talk about serious issues, but they keep it light, and they also they try to do like small. It says that it's just little bits, but their episodes are anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, which is a lot. You know, that's a little bit. Ours are a bit longer, but I like their flow. You know, like they're just like bloop bloop bloop. So what you got, Bruin? You know, I love the way they tie it all back to tea. That shit cracks me up. They do it early in the morning. You can tell that they remote podcast like we do. You know.
Yep.
So, just cracks me up. But anyway, that was my shout out for the week. And I know I'm just all over the page because I know we started talking about something.
We were talking about aliens and cartoons.
Yeah, you know, so what other cartoons do I love? We said Archer. I think you named them all off. I mean, you know, I really missed C-Lab 2021. That one was that's been gone off the air for a while, but that was
Space Goes Coast to Coast.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how we started with Miles and Crawford. Coast to Coast. I always make that joke when you go out of town. Like, we could do a Coast to Coast episode.
Harvey Birdman. Yes, there we are. He's awesome. I miss that cartoon.
This isn't related, but it makes me think of blah 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 from Arrested Development. Wasn't he the lawyer?
Yes.
Charles in charge. I'm not even gonna say his real name because he's a dick.
He's a douchebag, is what he is. Not as big of a douchebag as fucking Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio, but a douchebag.
Oh man, there's just been douchebags left and right this week. Am I right?
I would have to agree. I would definitely have to agree with the amount of douchebags, and I think that this whole week, you know, I think that's one of those things where, you know, we said, okay, this is what we should talk about, and at the same time, we're kind of like, no, but seriously, this week in America is stupid, and that is my fucking singing voice for you guys, by the way.
And my sing-song voice, you know.
Unless I get real drunk and you put on some Janis Joplin, we've got some things,
Jesus, that's hilarious.
It has been a really stupid week, I think, overall. I don't even know how... There's been, like, so many pros and cons. Like, terrible fucking things are happening, and the people that are in charge are fucking morons. Pro, all these fucking, like, 16 and 17-year-olds are rebelling and, like, trolling. Yes. They are trolling the senators right now on Twitter, and it's fucking hilarious. I am dying of laughter of how hard they're getting trolled on Twitter by a bunch of teenagers. It's so fantastic.
That's what I was talking about when I first started recording. Is this week's been very interesting, just as far as the conversation. Like, teenagers are, you know, 15 and 16. So let's see, that would be they're born right around the millennium.
2000, when we were, you know, graduating, going to our friends' graduation parties because we were older than them, like, they were born in 2001, 2002. They were born right at the cusp of, you know, the big, you know, everything.
They're very, like, hey, listen, we're getting real tired of dying, okay? So, it'd be real nice if you guys could just cut that shit out.
Could you guys just please, like, stop allowing guns in our schools, and would you not try to also arm our teachers? And there's so many teachers. One of them she is she's a carry and conceal.
Oh
She's
yeah.
like, hey, I'm all about this, but honestly, don't give me a gun. And it's sad, but it's true that, you give teachers guns. Well, the last teacher that had a conceal and carry was
Philando Castile.
Yep, we screwed up his name. I'm assuming again because we suck at this.
We
but
always say his name wrong, but everybody knows who we're talking about. If you're listening, I hope, and you know.
Yeah.
But we've mentioned him a few times. Yes, he was a teacher, and yes, he was legally able to carry. He had a CCW, and he was very careful about it. And I've seen the footage from that, and he did his very best to let that officer know, like, I have a gun. I even watched the footage. I've watched the dash cam footage and the original video of his girlfriend stream. That was really heartbreaking. That little girl in the back seat, but we won't get focused on that.
We'll try not to. We'll get back to that when we get back into the prisons.
Yes, we're talking about aliens.
We're talking about aliens. And by the way, just so you guys know, we're talking about aliens that live in outer space. We are not talking about the aliens.
We're not talking about Jose.
We're not talking about the quote-unquote illegals, fuckers. Like, let's shut up with all that fucking nonsense. We're talking about aliens from outer space. We're talking about the weird, the paranormal, the everything. And on that note, I'm gonna let Crawford get up into this because I need to make myself a cocktail. I'm gonna do a lot of flying tomorrow, so I like to get my nerves nice and calm the night before. So I'm gonna get myself a cocktail. And Crawford, why don't you go into whatever you want to? I'll be back.
Oh, all right, you do that. First of all, I'd just like to say that good luck with that, Miles. She's gonna be so hungover trying to get through the airport line. Like, I'm relaxed, but also these lights and noises are hurting my head. Miles wrote a wonderful, she typed up a rather interesting 2 pages or so. We decided on aliens. And I love this little intro that she wrote. It's, if aliens are monitoring our media and 90% of the internet is porn, they are not giving us anal probes. They're just trying to speak the language. That really made me giggle. And she's got this wonderful little blurb. Last October, an Arizona man sold his ranch for $5 million due to constant alien attacks. Now, the story is fucking funny as fuck. John Edmonds is selling his 9.67 acre horse ranch because he can't stand the constant paranormal activity he says he deals with. Now, I'd really like to know how it all started, but I don't have any background on it or anything. But this just does not crack you up, listeners. The Stardust Ranch. Now, come on now. He named it the Stardust Ranch. Really?
Yes, he
he's
did.
Just asking for it. I'm sorry. Don't dress your ranch like that and it wouldn't get probed. Okay? Stardust Ranch in Rainbow Valley, Arizona has been featured multiple times in television shows and international media for its purported alien activity. Edmonds and his wife Joyce say they're fed up with interstellar interference. He claims that he's slain 19 aliens with samurai swords, and he and his wife have endured abduction attempts. Now, that's pretty great.
I mean, that's great. He even had said at some point in that article, which I probably should have put a little a little tagline so you could read more into it.
Oh, it's okay.
So he was saying that the aliens are very hard to kill and that you can't just kill them with like one swipe of your samurai sword. And that he is 19 aliens, 19 gray aliens has killed.
I really hope that he's not talking about Mexicans, because, I mean, that's real close to the border there. I mean, we're all laughing at him, and I hope he doesn't have 19 aliens buried in his backyard. Like, he could be a little crazy. I've not seen too many people who mix aliens and the paranormal together, though. That's rather interesting.
But, I mean, you got to imagine, I mean, you've got, like, 9.63. I mean, in all that time that this guy has this ranch, why has nobody... I mean, you're telling me that he never once, like, buried them or, like, turned them in to the cops, to the FBI, took actual pictures?
Right, where are these 19 aliens that you slayed, sir? I mean, we might have to follow up on that. I'm going to call him and... We'll call him.
You want to call him?
Mr. Edmonds, we are desperate to know, where are the bodies buried?
I mean, there has to be something absolutely.
If he said that, I mean, we need to do more. See, I should have read this much earlier so that I could have been like, where's this guy's phone number?
We have to find him. I mean, what is absolutely, to me is that it's not that I don't believe. Okay, so I know there's no way. I don't, whether you believe in God or not. Even if there was, okay, so even if God is real, okay, and God created the universe, and God did create Earth in the 7 days.
Man, he was a busy dude.
Busy dude. But my theory is that even if God was real, or is real, I'm not here to judge. Y'all do what you gotta do. However, do you think that, like, we could just be his test and trial? Like, he takes what doesn't work here and has created multiple other planets and found out what does work?
Well, I told you that's why we're alone. In this galaxy. I mean, it seems like all the other planets are dead. Like, we're the only one that kind of survived, and he was like, okay, let's see what I did there. I'm going to repeat it over here in this galaxy and see if the other planets still survive. Because we probably devoured the other planets, I'm thinking. I'm guessing. That's what we did.
Or, like, they live such better lives than us, and he knows that jealousy is, quote-unquote, apparently one of our sins. And so he has tucked them away in universes around us, but does not allow us to come into contact with them because he knows that our jealous rage would cause a massive universal war.
I think so. I really do think that there's something to the fact that we're not alone, but we're also not. We're not alone, but we're we're not to be played with. We don't play well.
There you go. Okay, I was like, where is she going with this? Where's she going?
Sorry, I got distracted by coffee.
Get distracted. Get distracted. I had to make myself a cocktail. I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, where's that coffee going? That beards. I'm like, look at the beard on that.
Yeah, get it. Yeah. No, I think beards are fucking gross, so there's that.
I understand. I understand why you think that, and they are kind of gross, but I like to
They're
look
sexy
at
to
them.
their own right. Maybe aliens have really sexy, well-maintained beards that don't collect fucking food into it and doesn't fucking hurt your face every time you go to make out with it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, I know, yeah, exactly. Them beards.
Beard rash is the fucking worst.
Well, my boyfriend has a very nice beard that he keeps well maintained, and he's got a beard kit with little beard brush, and beard balm, and beard oil, and keeps that bad boy well oiled. But I think I'd love to just open up a clinic where I just brush beards all day. No trimming or anything. Just gonna brush it out for you. Would you like a blowout? A hot towel? You know what I mean? Like, just my own. Like, I have slowed down. Like, look at the beard on that. Damn. I did want to mention though, back to the Stardust Ranch, that he actually did sell his ranch. I had already said that while you were gone, but for $5 million. I'd like to know about the new tenants and how they're handling all the alien activity and whether or not the samurai swords came with the ranch.
Right.
And if they're still slaying aliens left and right. It's a hotbed of activity down there.
And I think that if we've been looking into alien stories, as much as I've looked into Reddit today and other things on the internet, I don't think that anybody has truly captured the alien life forms the way that Unsolved Mysteries late 80s, early 90s did.
What is that streaming on Hulu right now? Girl, I have been watching that. I'm not lying. I love that guy. I can't remember. Robert
something,
I don't know, but he always freaked me out when I was a kid and we watched that, like, that voice.
Oh, man, that voice was, it was something so... Robert Stack. It
added to the spookiness of the show, like, and then he'd do like an update, like, update, we found so and so, and that was kind of and I don't know if it just happened to be, but I noticed that it's the same company that does Forensic Files, Film Rise. Before Unsolved Mysteries comes on, it says Film Rise, and that's the same people who do Forensic Files. So I thought that's kind of interesting. That must have been like the early days of what Forensic Files must have spun off of, because I think they did Rescue 911 as well. Didn't he voice that? I feel like he did.
Yeah, he did. I remember Rescue 911. They had some great. There are a handful of things that I remember to a ridiculous T. From when I was a kid.
You know what? You saying to a T makes me think of the letter T on the Letter People. Do you remember the Letter People? And
I do.
Mr. T, he was huge. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. This is what happens. Fraggle Rockin'. Oh, we're bringing it back. And the guy, what was that guy that wore his insides on the outside? Mr. Feelgood?
No, that was
Mr. Goodbody.
Mr. Goodbody.
That dude
Mr. Goodbody was that was the cartoon dog.
No.
Yes,
Yep.
Mr. Goodbody was
I'm looking it up, everybody. You can hear me typing. Sorry. Mr. Goodbody. No, Slim Goodbody.
Really?
Yeah. Slim Goodbody. Goodbody. About the man inside the character. You always knew it was a good day if your teacher rolled in the TV and VCR on the cart.
Oh my god, that was so good.
It recorded Slim Goodbody or whatever, and we got to watch that. I was like, I love this show.
Oh wait, hold on. We've got and then Nickelodeon did Inside Out Boy. Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Sorry guys, you're gonna listen to this.
Swung over the bar and learned he had incredible powers beyond those of any superhero.
Where are my parents?
He had become Inside Out Boy. He couldn't fly or even leap tall buildings, but what he could do, gross out adults, made him a hero to kids the world over.
Excuse me.
Inside Out Boy, what you want in a hero.
Guts.
From the network that's got what you want, Nickelodeon.
Oh my god! Sorry guys, I had to. I was so excited because I totally forgot about Inside Out Boy. I loved him on Nickelodeon.
I did too.
Loved him.
I always liked the little commercial that they did. Pinwheel, spin me around. Do you remember?
See, that's so funny that you remember that. No, I do not. But I only had Nickelodeon. I never actually watched Nickelodeon until I was 12.
Yeah, well, I was a little
12,
bit younger.
13, because we didn't have cable.
I
for a
only
lot
watched
of years.
it because I was with my grandma for a little bit. So I was between 9 and 12. So I watched it every day after school.
Oh man, yeah, I'm all about Nickelodeon and Inside Out Boy, and I'm all about just in general, some of the old school shows, as we were talking about before with Unsolved Mysteries, and Robert Stack, and he did some of the best alien stories, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
And they really got into how the UFO looked, and they really did. I mean, for the time being, I'm not saying that it's what it is now, but at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, they did a good job of really making you believe
absolutely
that shit was real.
Right. And I remember when Fox did the alien autopsy, and there was such a big lead up to it and all that.
Yes.
It was so exciting, but you could tell that it was just a rubber dummy.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad. And I think that I don't doubt for a minute that there are aliens, and I don't deny people being. I don't know if I can even deny them being abducted. I'm not sure about the probing and whatever else, but if they really are trying to find us, it makes sense. It does. I can't discredit them, because I feel like when you're discrediting the followers are those people who have been through. It's kind of like the very first Independence Day. You're discrediting an entire group of people that I just don't think that we should discredit. I feel like there is something that they have really gone through, and even if it is a mental disease or whatever, but there is something that they have all incurred. And I think that would be interesting is that if aliens are not real, that why do so many of these people have the exact same stories?
See, now that I think that too, when it comes to people talking about near-death experiences, is before the internet and where people communicate, that story about the white light or floating above your body, that's been around for centuries, where people have talked about that before they could get together and talk about make their stories the same. And now you read about it, but near-death experience is the same thing. And that, to me, that's kind of falls under paranormal. We don't really know about that white light. That could just be your brain shutting down. They've tried to explain it like it's just your brain neurons still firing, whatever. Maybe it's us being reborn.
Have you ever experienced aliens?
No, unfortunately, I think I've seen a couple UFOs. Like, ooh, what the fuck is that? But no, especially like with these predator drones because they can just hover, and that freaks me out. And I've
Yeah.
seen a couple of those around here, where like at night I'm driving and there's like lights up in the sky, and it's just hovering. I saw one above Fenley that was really close to the point where I could hear it, and those things are really scary. I think I've talked about that before, but.
No, I don't think you have.
I was driving in Findlay one night, and I was like, "What is that?" Because I could hear they sound like a helicopter, but they look like a tiny plane. And it was right above Trenton Avenue, and it was just hovering, and it was hovering real close above, So you could hear it. And I looked up, and it was in place, but it was pivoting back and forth like it was looking for something. It was scary. It freaked me the fuck out. And that happens to people in other countries all the time that we do that too. Like, oh shit, those drones are no joke. And it had to have been close because I could hear it, and it sounded like a and I didn't know what it was at the time because I had never seen a drone before, and so I had to get online and I looked up drone, and then I looked up plane that sounds like a helicopter but looks like a plane or something like that, and that's how I came across, and then I found a picture of it, and it's because. Reason why we see them is Wright Patterson Air Force Base, I think it is, the one by Dayton. They have a contract to fly out of there, so they fly all over the place, obviously. But I see them around here a lot, and I think that's kind of weird or interesting. I guess I don't know which one you want to go with, but it's not unusual to see predator drones in this area anymore, and they actually. Fly along the highway because I take a highway from here to Findlay, and you'll see them kind of around the highway, and what they do is they monitor speed, and then they will radio ahead to the state highway patrol or sheriff to catch a speeder coming, so instead of a radar gun where you might have time to slow down before that cop, they've already got you 3 miles back. They're just waiting for you, so
That's so
I
fucked
know
up.
people that have been pulled over that way and gotten tickets is because a drone caught them speeding. Even if they were doing the speed limit when they got to the cop, but if the drone caught you, then so that's something we have to deal with now, everybody. That's really really great.
Because we like to be monitored. Yeah, I what I really enjoy always is
This
other
coffee is amazing.
people's stories. I read one today, and I actually saved it via Reddit because Reddit's always a great source.
Reddit is amazing.
It is, and so I'm gonna read the story from Bobby Surfer. It's 1 day old.
Oh yeah,
Bobby Surfer. So he says, when I was 13 (parentheses 33 now), I woke up at 3 a.m. and my face was throbbing. I went into the bathroom to find half of my face was black and blue. Odd thing was, it was a near perfect line with one side fine and the other side severely bruised. I then ran into my mom's room and freaked out. She took me to the hospital. The doctors thought she beat me and questioned me a lot about abuse.
Oh.
It definitely wasn't her. I missed 1 month of school because of how bad my face looked, and upon returning I still had a black eye. I have looked and looked for pictures of this, and they are just lost somewhere. My mom possibly threw them out years after. I lived in a house with a large field in front of it, and my room faced the field, and there were a few large windows in there. That night I had gone to sleep on the top bunk, but when I awoke with my face in pain, I was under the blankets on my bottom bunk.
Oh wow. They didn't even put them in the same spot. Those are terrible aliens.
Come on. My first thought was that maybe I had fell out of bed. But I ruled it out because A, it had a guardrail, a large one at that, and B, I'm an extremely light sleeper, and that fall would have definitely woken me up. No way I'd crawl into bed with how severe it was. Also, I am not a sleepwalker. So I realized this, but in no way was I thinking aliens. In fact, at that age, I had little to no interest in them other than movies and such.
Right.
So, in the following nights, sorry guys, I don't remember which nights, but within a week of the incidents, I had 2 dreams. First dream was that I had woken up and all of my windows were blown out in my room and there was a UFO in the field that I was watching aliens take away my family. I didn't think much of this dream until the second dream.
Oh, that's awful.
Second dream, I wake up in my bunk bed on the top bunk This dream felt like reality. At the end of my bunk bed, there is a large alien head with large black eyes just staring at me. And I back at it. And that was the dream. It felt weird. It felt real. I woke up rather terrified. That's the one that roused my suspicion of something strange had happened. After that dream, I researched abduction stories and found that people have had these types of dreams after an encounter. In the end, I remember nothing from that night other than where I went asleep and where I woke up. I've never had the same dream since, and I don't like to say I was abducted, but with what had happened, I have no explanation, and with the dreams, I feel deep down like that could be what happened that night.
See, that's weird to remember things like from your childhood and be like, I think that might not have been what I thought it was back then. That is.
Well, see, and that. Go ahead.
That's just very strange. I mean, I don't know how he makes. I don't know how he would make sense of that. You know.
Well, and that's what one of those things. So, creepy story time, folks.
Oh yeah. Do that again. That was sexy.
I don't think I could. No, I'm laughing
you
too
out. Sexy time with Miles. She's gonna read you a bedtime story, everybody.
Now it's time for bedtime stories with Miles.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I know, right? I mean, I could pull it off. Anyways,
Sounds so nice.
Oh, I can do the really nice girl voice where I sound super sweet and adorable, and everything is so great. Anyways, in reality. It's so super. Thanks for asking. When I was a kid, I lived out in a really creepy ass fucking country house. And by no means, folks, am I comparing the weird dream that this guy is remembering.
No, you're
because
just jumping off was the point.
Yeah, but I am. I'm jumping off of his story to talk about my own because I'm super self-centered.
I'm very involved. Okay, with myself.
I'm very involved with myself, so I'm gonna just find a way to bring this in. When I was younger, I had lived in a really creepy house, and I mean, even my most Christian parents believed this house was abnormally, like, we had a lot of abnormal happenings there, a lot of them. And it might have just been wandering minds and the fact that we didn't really have television and we didn't really have cell phones, and so we let the littlest things get to the best of our imagination. Who the fuck knows? Anyways, when I was younger, and I had these dreams for years, and it's not like what he's saying, but I had dreams about on an anniversary the same day or the same month every year for about 8 or 9 years. And I knew every time I was going to have this dream, like I knew like this month is coming, at some point I'm going to go to bed and have this really fucking creepy ass dream where I'm a kid, there's a huge party happening at my house, and I end up walking out of, so in my dream, I'm a kid, there's a party at this huge house, we had one of those really big cement wraparound porches, and I go outside to the wraparound porch, and I start picking up all the presents and stuff that were outside laying out for me. And that's where I spot, these lights in the sky and these lights all over the ground. And there's these little creatures that are blue and red. And I go find them, and I burn up a telephone pole. Superhuman power, like. And, because I'm out in the country, so, one of those big old fucking light poles that you have out there. And I'm climbing this thing, and I find out these, like, little creatures are kind of, like, blue and red, and they're, like, little demons almost.
Oh.
And they fucking chase me. And when I try to go inside for help, everybody's gone. Suddenly, everybody that was in my house suddenly disappears.
Huh.
And I've never seen any faces in a dream. There's always just been, like, legs and bodies. So, like, there's, like, people, but there's no faces to recognize. And, anyways, they end up chasing me around. I'm running upstairs, downstairs, through the basement, out to the old basketball court, all these things. And eventually, as soon as they catch me, I wake up from my dream. And I have this exact same dream for 9 years.
That's,
Same month, September, every year for 9 years. No idea why I have this dream. It was the creepiest fucking thing that I have ever incurred, because I hated the month of September for a long time, because I knew if I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to remember this stupid fucking dream. And I couldn't let it go. And it fucking boggled my mind. Not that anything happened to me. I don't know why this dream happened, but I remember it being so vivid that even now, years after the dream has ended, that I still very much, like, in my head right now as I talk about it, I can see myself, I can see what I'm talking about. I can mentally picture little tiny me with my, blonde hair and blue eyes, and I'm outside. I remember my yard. I remember the field. I remember all these things. And that house was so creepy that so much fucked up things happened at that house. And so it was just natural that I thought that when we had moved out of that house, that the dreams would stop, but they didn't. Those dreams lasted me through 2 more moves. And so it was just like the weirdest thing where I'm like, well, why am I still remembering this dream? Why is it happening every year? Why is it in September every year? And then one day they just did. One day they stopped. And then I'm like, okay, am I not allowed to remember these anymore? Or is it because I'm not, did I lose my innocence? Is that why I don't have them?
Well, it
was
I had the kind of the same, not the same dream, but I had the same experience, actually. I had one reoccurring dream from my earliest memory until, I would say 11 or 12 is when I stopped. The one that I had that was the most, that I had it, I wouldn't know how often I had it, though, but I remember it was recurring. I was an adult. I would dream that I was an adult, and I can only remember part of it. And I'm floating in the ocean. I was in an airplane crash, and I'm floating in the ocean, and there's fire and everything around me, and I can smell the smoke, and I'm holding on to an airline seat. And then I wake up. And then another one I always had, I have a real deep, I don't like deep water, and I don't like high heights. I'll ride a roller coaster. We went to Cedar Point last summer, and I took enough Xanax where I was like, this ain't so bad. But usually, like, quarries freak me out. I don't like swimming in quarries because they're like, well, we don't know how deep it is, blah, blah, blah. I've seen a dry quarry. We have plenty of them around here. So I know how, those freak me out. I never like to swim out to the middle of the, let's all swim out to the raft. No, thank you. I will tread right here until I can't touch anymore. I'm not going any further. I would be walking. It'd be a gray day. And there would be like a black asphalt, like bicycle path almost, with no markings though, but and it just stretched across the sea. No, nothing else, just a gray sky, this road, and then like almost gray black water, like the water was dark too, and it would lap up onto, there was no guardrail or nothing, it was just in the middle of this water, and it would lap up onto this very narrow walkway. So, as I would walk along it, I would get pushed to the right, like I was sliding off, and it wouldn't matter no matter what I did. I couldn't stay on this road or this path or whatever. And I would eventually, I'd wake up crying or screaming because I would wake up hanging, I would finally fall off, and I'd be hanging on to that road. So I had that one. I didn't have as often as the airline one, but I know I had that airline one from the time I was like 4 or 5. I can remember being real little and having that one. And then the other one, just for a couple of years. I think that was just because I don't like deep water. I don't know, but I haven't had them since that I know of or remember. But I always thought that was very strange.
And I always wonder, what that leads into is that if we've all had, all of our nightmares, all the things that we perceive as dream states, if that is, is that the paranormal? Is that, another way that, or do we actually have like a whole entire new lifeline out there? And that's, the whole deja vu where you're catching up to a life you've already lived. And that's always one of those really, interesting perceptions, and that maybe we really are just keep reincarnating ourselves until we get it right, or maybe the aliens are just fucking with us.
I was really into astrology and tarot card readings and things like that, palm reading when I was younger, from like 15 until I was 20 or so. And I had a star chart done, and it said something, I remember this, but I was very young, but it freaked me out because there was no way that this person that drew this chart for me, it was a birth chart or a star chart, but it would tell you things about yourself, and it said that I was likely to die in a plane crash. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh,
that's fucking super fucking
Isn't that creepy. I just remembered that. It's been years, but that really freaked me out when I read that. Like, it was one that I had ordered and or whatever, and actually came in the mail, and it was like 8 pages. It was long and detailed and all that other crap, but that was out of that whole thing. That's the only thing I remember about getting duped on a fucking star chart. But I was stuck with me like, you'll most likely die in an airplane crash over the ocean or something. It even said, and I thought that's really fucking weird because I used to have a recurring dream about being in the ocean in the middle of an airline crash. So I wonder if any of our listeners have any of those kind of stories that, reoccurring or whatever when they were younger that kind of went away as you got older. Because what if those are memories from our past life, or they, what do you call that, residual, like we don't quite leave our old lives behind when we're born. It's a very slow effect, and that's why babies can't communicate. We don't have memories before we're like 2 usually, things like that, is because that's when we sever the connection to our old life and learn that we're in a new one. I don't know. I'm literally just free thinking here, people, but we'd love to hear if you have had those kind of weird story like that, because I didn't know I thought I was the only one. And I find out that
No. I mean, and if you want to tell us any of your stories, we would love to read them. I would actually like to dedicate an entire episode of just reading.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
People's stuff. That would be so much fun. So, you can always reach us at MC Variety Hour on Twitter at MC Variety Hour, or you can always email us at milesandcrawford.com. At some point, we are going to get a nice little call-in line where if you want to stay anonymous, you can, or if you don't, whatever. You can always, but just email us at milesandcrawford@gmail.com. We've made it very simple for you guys. You can visit us on Facebook and message us on the Miles and Crawford Variety Hour on our Facebook page. So please, honestly, we would love some feedback. We would love people's stories in general about even deja vu.
Yeah, deja vu.
I'm so intrigued by it. Deja vu will almost always send me into a full-blown fucking panic attack. I cannot stand deja vu, and
it's just freaky.
Oh, it makes me sick thinking about it. Like, oh, it's so gross, but it's because I want to know why we have it. Like, what is that feeling of, I've been here before, I know what's going to happen, and it doesn't happen, but it could happen, and it's so.
You know what? We could tie that in with, I believe it's called synchronicity, where you keep coming into contact with somebody completely random. I haven't read about it in years. Listen to me type, everybody. But there's a really cool story that kind of explains it, and trying to remember the simultaneous occurrence of events that appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. And then there's a really cool story. Let me see if I can find it. It's very short too. So, example: patient who. Here we go. The French writer Émile Deschamps claims in his memoirs that in 1805 he was treated to some plum pudding by a stranger named Monsieur de Fontgibu. 10 years later, the writer encountered plum pudding on the menu of a Paris restaurant and wanted to order some, but the waiter told him the last dish had already been served to another customer who turned out to be the same Monsieur de Fontgibu. Many years later, in 1832, which was almost 30 years later, Deschamps was at a dinner and once again ordered plum pudding. He recalled the earlier incident and told his friends that only de Fontgibu was missing to make the setting complete, and in the same instant, the now senile de Fontgibu entered the room. So that's what synchronicity, like things that just aren't related and just seem to, you know what, I thought I said that was kind of an interesting, who knows if that's true or not, I mean, but... I think it's very neat, and I think that when we talk about, the paranormal activity, when we talk about the haunted houses, because I could probably dedicate an entire hour of me just talking about the fucking haunted houses that we've lived in. Like, me and you both, I know, have talked about this on a personal level, about just the fucking weird, creepy shit that we have gone through, and who knows, maybe that's what's just
brought us
because we can't see it doesn't mean it's real, and I know that's what they say about God, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, like, to me, it's... For me, I will have to say that, yes, it is easier for me to believe in aliens than it is for me to believe in God. And that's just, I can't, and a lot of people don't understand that, especially a lot of, religious folks, including my parents, who they're flabbergasted about the idea that I would believe in alien life form, but I wouldn't believe in God. And I always say, hey, it's not that I don't believe in God, but I don't know if I can trust that one thing And if God is real, then I don't think that God is anything of what we have portrayed him as in our own
You know,
minds.
the interesting thing is I think a lot of, at least Christians, the ones that follow the Bible or say they follow the Bible, I don't think that they've really read the Bible. Well, it's actually a very good book if you just take it as a book and not as scripture. You know, there's a lot of history. First of all, it's a historical text. I believe that the Great Flood did happen. I don't know that Noah built an ark. Maybe it was a guy, like a farmer with his shit. But, you know, I mean, but they're across
But seriously,
all religions.
to create an ark that big, I mean, let's be real honest, guys. Like, let's think about the way that you would have to be able to bend the wood. The way, and granted, I get it, because the wood had not had the malfunctions. I think, that's the way I'm going to put it. It's called malfunctioning
Right.
wood. Okay, so even if the wood was more pliable then, because it was...
or whatever.
Yeah, it was younger
Right,
wood.
right.
I don't fucking know. But for him to have put together something that extraordinaire, for him to have created that is false. For Moses to be able to depart an entire ocean and then it coming back. You know what Moses' departing of the ocean sounds like? It sounds like a tsunami.
Exactly. It took the water away.
Like,
it took
do
the
I
water,
think-
and then it came back.
Yep.
Because that's what happened.
I believe that Moses did stand there, and I believe that while the water was, while the water was down, and we've all been there in the ocean where there's times where, I know I've been there, where you walk out and you can just walk out into the ocean and you're fine, and then suddenly, like, 20 minutes go by, and where you were, just ankle deep in water, now it's over your head.
Right.
And so, do I believe that at some point somebody was there to witness something like a tsunami happening? Absolutely.
Well, that translated,
Moses didn't depart the water, though.
1,000
Yep.
times, so that that's just like the telephone game. To me.
Oh, I've talked so severely about that the last few days, about the telephone game. That's all I've been talking about, is about the telephone game. I don't know why. That actually got brought up in a conversation recently I was actually having with Garrett.
Back to Garrett.
Back to Garrett, who I got to see his lovely little pretty face this week. He was in town, and I was really excited to see him. But, at the same time, like, I talked about that, about how we the misinterpretation of things and how quickly that is to happen. And I think I even talked about it on a Facebook post with somebody and said, we can sit here and talk all day about this and this, but it's all about the misinterpretation of other people's words or how they're described. And, and how we all, when you're sitting around with 15 people, play the telephone game as adults.
Yes.
And, and sometimes it's a very rarity where somebody doesn't get it in them, like, just to kind of be like, let's fuck with these people a little bit. They said the sock is purple, but you want to kind of fuck with somebody, the sock is pink.
Yeah.
And that person's like, you know what, I had the same idea, the sock is pink on your left ear. And then by the time that it ends after 15 people, it's a completely different fabricated story than what the actual truth
The
is.
sink.
But that
white.
person...
That's what it comes out as. No, I don't.
No, but it's true, and that is how things like, when we even bringing it into the nowadays about, Russian collusion and blah, 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 like, all these quote-unquote facts or, this kind of stuff that's happening, you've also got to imagine, too, is that it's all led by interpretation of somebody else's version of the story. My version of God or my version of my life in the afterworld is completely different because that's what I believe. Like, I believe that I don't want to get cremated. I don't want to get embalmed. Like, I want to be buried as quickly as possible. I don't want, unless you guys think that I was murdered, when I die, I don't want an exam. I don't want all that shit. Don't hold me up. I want you to be like, boom, she's dead. Okay, cool. Put her wrap me in a piece of canvas, bury me in my fucking friend's woods, and call it a good day. I don't want gravestones. I don't want all that shit. I just don't. But I believe that me dying wholly with everything I have, without being burned, without being embalmed, allows me to live for a better afterlife.
I agree with you there. And what I think with the Bible is that they don't, a lot of them don't read it and don't take it. They're so wrapped up in the scripture and the little poems and whatnot that they forget that there's other texts surrounding it. And the Great Flood actually appears across several old religions, and they all call it a different thing. So I think it was like a flooding, a huge flood of the world, possibly. I watched a couple specials, read a couple books about that theory, but I don't remember where I was originally going to go with that point about the Bible, though. I really... we started getting. I was
no,
just
it's okay. We were talking about aliens. We're talking about paranormal activity. We're talking about palm reading. We're talking about your...
I just with the I was and the Bible. It was something about you were talking about God, and what this all wraps back into is what I wanted to mention. In the Bible, God actually says at one point he refers to we gods a couple times in the Bible, where he makes mention that he's not the only God. You know what I mean? So I always find that interesting. It's something that Christians don't acknowledge or ever really talk about, but that is also in the Bible. So I think he doesn't consider himself the God, but almost like Greek mythology, like he might be Zeus. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, and he might be one of many, and that's why we have. What is it, like 5,000 different religions?
Right.
Or 50,000?
I love Greek
know it's
mythology. We should do something on that shit too,
It's a great time, and I think that and that's just it when it comes
Let's get
down
to feeling the earth, like what's the earth telling us?
Yes, because it's telling us something, and I think that, over the years, and whether it had been aliens in the sky or aliens on the ground or whatever it is that you believe or don't believe, I think that you really have got to understand that there is something that is bigger than us. Yes. Because if we are it, like if the entire universe, and we've all seen that picture, where it's like, here you are, and then like it zooms out. And
have you ever been to that website?
And it zooms out.
Yes, that thing with the music, man. Do not look at that if you trip on acid. It is a trigger, folks, that will fuck you up for life.
Or if you have if you have severe anxiety, because it does. I've seen it once.
You want to feel tiny? Here we go.
Yeah, if you want to feel absolutely, completely, and utterly just like a non-being in the world, that your existence truly does not matter. Go look it up as... I'm not sure what the exact website, but it's something like if you look up, where we are in the universe, it will landscape out and it will show you that we are this tiny speck, and to believe that humanity, for what we know on planet Earth, is the only thing that is surviving out there. We are you cannot tell, I don't believe it. I don't believe for a minute that what we have is that we were it. We were it. Really, guys? You guys really believe? Put down your Bibles. Put down your little crosses for a minute. Put down your little belief system for 30 seconds here, folks. Think about it. If you really think about Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon, all of it. Even if the Earth is flat, folks, even if the Earth is flat, which it's not, but if it is, even if it's flat in this massive landscape of the universe, you think that we are the only thing surviving at all. You think we're the only ones that have trees, or the only one that's living. Like, we know that stars die, and most of these stars are older. Every time that we find something significant, it shows us over and over and over again that we are older than what we actually are. But we are a speck, and I'm talking like a cigarette ash speck on a fucking busy highway compared to the fucking universe. And to think that we're alone, that there's nobody else out there, that there's nothing else bigger than us, you've got to be crazy. To me, it's more crazy to think that we're alone in the universe than believe that we are not alone in the universe. And maybe the aliens are gray with big black eyes. And maybe that's one of a few hundred different species of aliens, and that's why they don't all collaborate on the same idea. Maybe they're not the only ones that have came to visit us, to figure us out. We could be one big, huge biology project for another freaking planet that's way bigger, and because we're not smart enough, or we don't have the technology or enough satellite dishes or enough telescopes, we don't see the big picture,
I absolutely agree, and I found the website. It's called scaleofuniverse.com.
There you go.
And you can zoom in and out and actually see how big you are all the way down to the molecular level. Hear me scroll, folks. This is me scrolling. And then you can scroll out to the galaxy, and you just keep going. We're just.
It's absolutely, to me, it's very life-changing to at least fuck with that for 10 minutes.
You have to zoom in for a long time to get back to where you are. We're on a long hallway.
Your quote-unquote importance.
Like,
you're important, and you are. Who you are does make a difference in the world, folks. You guys do. In our world, in your state, in your county, with your friends and family, and who knows, maybe someday a bigger significance. But you do make a difference. But do you, I don't think that what we're doing, like, even if we fuck up planet Earth, and even if planet Earth explodes, the universe is going to thrive on without us. It's not that once the Earth does explode...
it's got a bunch of craters because it's been hit, but it still ticks on, Yeah,
exactly. And so what we can and what we can't survive is to come at some point, because, okay, if God existed, 20, 40,000 bajillion years ago, whatever your guys' AD, BC crap that you guys believe that you understand some timeline, which you don't. Even if you're right about that, to believe that there was nothing else prior to then, to me, is every year we hear new theories about how old the Earth is, or about the very first human on Earth. Like, we don't know, and we've been around for a very long time, and we don't know if we're just going to explode one day, because all those stars that are out there, all those shooting stars, those wonderful, beautiful shooting stars that you can go out to the country on the right, time of the night and go see. All of those are just tiny little things that are just dying. They're just dying. And eventually we just die. Like, that's just how it is. It's not depressing, folks.
Bring us
because
down.
Who knows?
Bring us down, Miles.
No, but you could become something bigger than that after you're dead. And that's my belief. My belief is I'm gonna hang out. I do. I can't wait to haunt people. I can't wait to fuck with people. That is ultimately my goal. Is that, like, are you gonna go to heaven? Are you gonna go to hell? Like, are you gonna go to the happy medium place? Dude, I just want to haunt folks. Like, I already have plans, with my friend that, seriously, if I die, I'm getting buried on her land out in the middle of nowhere. No gravestone. You can put some sticks with my name into it if you guys want. Big old party. But my goal is just to go fuck with you. Like, I'm gonna go up to Upper Sandusky and, like, start doing some weird shit to your house just to,
I will not put up with that. Unless,
Oh, you think you won't, but I'll be like, what you're going to put up with? Is that your coffee is going to be made when you wake up in the morning, and you're going to be like, who made me coffee?
Some sage in my house. You'll be like, that stinks, but I'm still going to make some coffee. I don't care.
I am. I'm going to start turning electronics off and on. I'm going to fuck with all kinds of shit.
I wonder how long you can do that for. Have you ever seen the show Dead Like Me? Oh, you'd love it.
No.
I don't know if Netflix still has it, Amazon has it, I don't know, but it's about a girl who dies because a space shuttle, the space shuttle or the International Space Station blows up, and it rains debris on Earth, and she dies because she gets hit by a flaming toilet seat. And
that's awesome.
But when she dies, somebody touches her, and she becomes a Grim Reaper, and she's part of the team of like 4 or 5 of them, and they have like a little leader, and it's actually I can't think of his name, but he was You Killed My Father. My name is I can't say it. Dang it! But you know who I'm talking about. Saul Bernstein.
Yes.
Is that his name? No. That's a character he played. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm sorry. He was in the first season, and then that's when he went and did Homeland, and he wasn't in the second and third. There's only like 3 seasons of it, but it's kind of a funny show, like they cause people's death, but in very weird ways, just by touching them. Like, I gotta go take the soul. They get like little sticky notes every day, and you have to go like reap these souls. That's their day. But they have to also have jobs, Like, it's like, oh, no, you still have to work and, like, pretend, like, that you're alive still and make money and pay your rent and shit. But also you have to reap souls. And you have to reap so many souls before you get to move on to the next life or whatever. You never know. And nobody knows how many it is. It's different for everyone. It's a good little show.
Aw, yeah, that is. It is. Hey, by the way, we're at like an hour and 18 minutes.
Oh, we'll edit out something. It's fine. It's fine.
We're not gonna get to the prisons.
No,
We're not getting to the prisons.
You know what?
Tonight,
That's some
but...
great information that we can save for a episode on prisons. That's some really great info that you have there. So that's not a loss. Well, we always talk about prisons, so boom. That's a page done for another week when we don't have time to write shit. What we got for shout outs this week, Miles?
Oh, we have got all kinds of wonderful, beautiful shout outs because I love you, Twitter fam. Like, I love you. A big shout out, as always, to Home Video Hustle. They actually played our intro at the end of their episode, so thank you guys. We appreciate you boys, and your latest podcast was fucking hilarious. So you guys should definitely check out Home Video Hustle. Great times right there. Waffle, WAFL Productions, they had put out another wonderful podcast that I listened to. They went into this really great in-depth story about the 50 Shades of Grey, and I swear, if I was sitting right, like if I could have been calling in, I would have probably been calling in every 5 minutes, being like, yes, fuck yeah, that's and really great time. Heil on Life, Hile, Heil on Life, always a great shout out to Noelle there. She is such a great supporter of ours. She always gives us shout outs, so I definitely appreciate that. Po Boys Podcast, P-O' Boys Podcast. Give them a listen. I think that you will really enjoy that southern kind of style of things. It's not even just southern style. It's just, it reminds you of the South kind of listening to them. Wonderful, wonderful times. Other than that, I mean, there's so many. I really wish I could tell you about that. But Potable gave us a shout out today. I know that we're out of the running, but Potable enlisted us as part of their Follow Fridays. So,
nice.
Again, always, that is nice. So, if you guys, I'm not sure how you're listening to us, but, always go to potable.co. Or just download the app and be able to listen to all your podcasts there. There are so many wonderful ones. And in all honesty, I really wish I had this more put together. But next week, I'll have a list for you. Next week, because I'm going to be traveling so much, I'm going to be listening to podcast after podcast.
We're going to be doing like 15 minutes of listen to this podcast. But don't forget to listen to ours.
It's
so
very true.
Keep telling you the other good ones to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of good ones. And always make sure that you guys are also checking out, the UK podcast. Over the Pondcast is a great one. Over the Pondcast. Yeah. But there's another one, Merds and Monsters. I really appreciate as well. So there's a few Scottish ones out there that are fantastic, and I'll get all their names rounded up. So don't just be listening to your Americanized version of podcasts. Make sure that you're getting culture from all over, because it's not just us who like podcast people. It's everybody.
Culture,
so when world. Yeah, like culture yourselves, bitches. So anyways, that's what I've got.
Amazing. And I love all those podcasts as well. I listened to I think 3 of those. I don't listen to as many as Miles gets to. So but
I sit in an office 8 hours a day, folks. Like, I sit in an office, I start my morning, and I go on to Twitter first thing. I find out who I get my likes and my follows by, and those are the very first podcasts that I put in. So if you're constantly liking our shit, you're the podcast that I'm going to follow. Like, that's just how it's going to be. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to give you a download. Back. That's just how it is. I got your back, because, it's all about the love, folks.
So,
all about the love.
Miles is taking off for Orlando, is it?
Yeah, I'll be in Orlando from Saturday through Thursday. Be home just enough time to do a podcast next Friday, and then I leave for Nashville the following Saturday.
Back off into the sunlight, leaving us all back here in Ohio. That's cool.
Yeah.
You get nice and warm.
It's going to be 89 degrees and sunny. Even when I land at 9 o'clock, I land at like 8:55, and it's going to still be 89 degrees outside. I am fucking
forget about that in the summer when it's hot and butt ass early in the morning already. Like, it's going to be a hot day.
That's going to be Vegas in August. I have to go to Vegas for possibly up to 3 weeks in August, and that is... The last time I was in Vegas, it was 10 o'clock at night, and it was still 105 degrees outside. I want to come work
with you so that we can be a sales team. I think we'd rock it. It'd be amazing.
Oh my god, that'd be so great.
Podcasts together all the time. No.
It would be so fantastic if you wanted to sell some appliances,
I could do it.
man.
I could sell the shit out of that. I used to sell sex toys. I'm telling you, I'm great at sales. All right, everybody. This is somewhat of a... We'll try to edit it down for your listening pleasure, but this was a little long. But I'll miss Miles. Tell everybody goodbye, Miles.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
everybody.
There.